When I saw the university for the first time, I was 12 years old. It was the summer, and I was on a business road trip with my father to Washington from Alabama, and we stopped in Charlottesville and walked around the grounds, and he showed me the places that were meaningful to him, and we walked up the lawn, and I thought, wow, this is the greatest place, but I didn't envision that I could ever attend until much later.
Well, I first heard about and saw the University of Virginia when I was in the 6th grade. And my teacher told me that only boys were allowed to go to that school. However, when I was a junior in high school, I'd been following the news, the push for coeducation. And I found out about it because if I recollect correctly, I applied or tried to apply, sought an application, and was told I could not apply.
It was the only major state university in the country in 1966 that was still an all-men's school. There were women in the graduate schools, and there were women in the education and nursing schools, but they could only come in 3rd year. They had to go to some other school for the first 2 years. So in essence, the major undergraduate schools, the college, the engineering school, the architecture school, those were all men. And that really characterized very much the nature of the university.
When the university was sued by John Lowe, L-O-W-E, who was a graduate of the law school and was a lawyer in town and basically an ACLU lawyer, on behalf of a couple of women who'd applied and had been rejected on the grounds that they were women.
And I was finally sent what was meant to be the final report of this committee that called for a quota system for 10 years. And this is in September 1969, and I just said, I can't agree with this, and typed up a minority report which dissented. And I learned enough that, well, you can present that. So I sent it into the committee. I did take the minority report to the student council and asked them to endorse it, which they did, and that was in the news. But what happened with John Lowe was he went into federal court, and the university had provided discovery about where they were going with coeducation, and they had provided the university committee report. They had not provided my minority report. And the minority report that I wrote did acknowledge that we might need a couple of years of transition in order to make changes to accommodate women, but that otherwise we should promptly have an equal admissions policy. And that ended up being what the Board of Visitors adopted in resolving this case.
Thankfully, the university got some good legal advice, and it didn't really litigate the case. It settled the case and agreed to, I think it was 2 years of a limited number of women in 2 consecutive entering classes in order to sort of be able to make the adjustment to having women undergraduates.
I think for the initial years of bringing women to the university, it was just a question of the old guard versus, sort of forward-thinking people. Older, more conservative. This is the way it's always been. This was a boys' school forever. It should be boys' school forever.
I had several friends who were first-year students my senior year in high school, and one of them called me and we were talking, and he said, I think the university's going to accept women. Maybe you should apply.
I later received a letter from the University of Virginia inviting me to apply, saying that a 3-judge panel of the federal court in Richmond had ordered coeducation to start in the fall of 1970. And I was thrilled. I had been following the stories and immediately sent in my application.